Hey everyone, welcome to the Fin Factor Live Edition. I'm Paul, and this is my footrest for the foreseeable future. Aaron is running late, but he will be here, so that's actually really uncomfortable. We do have super producer Jason, who is taking a look at the comments and questions and whatnot. Apparently, we are already loaded with some of those, so I guess we could just hop right into it. But Aaron will be popping in hopefully shortly here. I'm not really sure how far away he is, but stick around. Otherwise, you're just kind of stuck with me. I apologize. Super producer Jason, what do we have in terms of questions?
First question, we got a few from Angelo Nunez.
Okay.
First one's going to be, is Goodrow captain material?
Okay, that's a pretty good question. I don't think that he is. He's got a lot of heart. Okay. This is a guy that, again, when he steps up for Evander Kane during that Lucic hit, right? But is she captain material? I don't know that the Sharks are looking for a new captain or anything, right? I think Logan Couture is still going to be the captain going forward and whatnot. So I don't see him being like a replacement, if that's kind of where you're going with that. If you're just asking if he is captaincy material, regardless of Logan Couture's current status and future status, I think he's got some of the right things in terms of being a good team player. But being a good team player and standing up for your teammates doesn't always mean you're good captain material. Do the guys listen to him in the locker room, right? Do they follow his lead? Is he a leader in the first place? There's lots of soldiers in that room. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's a general, really. So I don't really see him as captain material. Generally, you don't see the grinder types that play on the latter end, usually on the fourth line. Now he has been playing up, but he's been a mainstay more towards the bottom of the roster. You generally don't see those guys as captains. So I don't see him being a captain anytime soon on this or any other team, but I'm sure stranger things have happened. So
Okay. How about EK9 being suspended? Was that as bad as the Lucic hit?
yeah, I don't know about comparing it to the Lucic hit, but what I will say is it does seem like there are biases towards Evander Kane at times. Now, I'm not going to argue the suspension. I think the suspension is deserved. The hit that he put on is a suspendable hit. Elbow got up, hit him in the head. I'm okay with the suspension. What I'm not okay with is that there are other instances around the league that should have been suspended or penalized more heavily. I think we were talking about the Chara cross check to the face of Brendan Gallagher. I believe it was Brendan Gallagher, and I think it would cost him like $5,000, whatever it was. I think that there could have been more to that one. I think there was a couple of the hits that I'm just drawing a blank on, but these guys are not really getting suspended nearly as long, and they're kind of getting slapped on the wrist. And I just don't. I understand Evander Kane's point about what's there needs to be guidelines. If I hit a guy in the head versus somebody else hits a guy in the head, it could be 3 games, it could be 7 games, it could who knows, right? So there needs to be some sort of de facto written in stone consequence for any particular action, and if that's exemplified or amplified by a person's history, they've been able to, or sorry, not been able to, but they've had a history of getting elbows up high, or they've had a history, suspensions in the past, and you want to multiply that next suspension by the length. I can understand that, but I think an elbow to the head should be an elbow to the head, right? So if it's 3 games, then anybody who does that 3 games, that's bare minimum, right? If you're a repeat offender, okay, fine, we start adding on to there. But I think what Evander Kane was saying was that not all the time is it the same punishment for the same crime. And I'm with him on that one. Now, some people thinking that he's kind of arguing like it shouldn't be a penalty, or I'm sorry, shouldn't be a suspension. I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he's just saying he wants consistency across the league for these types of things. So I would agree with him on that one. Funny thing, I think it was Brian Burke, former GM, and I think he was with the Department of Player Safety at some point in his career as well, basically kind of hammering on Evander Kane, saying, well, he wanted third-party people to come in and do this. We know no other league does that. The NFL, the MLB, no other league has a third party. It's all done internal. And he says, well, even if we did that, how long would it take Evander Kane to get fed up with the third-party guys instead, right? So, and I can understand his point, but I don't know. I think what Evander was trying to say was, it's just the same penalties for the same crime. And I think if you just focus around that being what his argument was, I think he has a really good point there. So that's how my take on that one.
Yeah, and Zach Croft added, Brian Burke wants EK9 to apologize to the NHL player safety.
That's not going to happen. You know, EK9. He's not going to do that. And again, I think for good reason. I think he's bringing about an awareness to a problem. I think it is a problem. I think when you don't know if you get your elbow up, if you're going to be out for X amount of games or X amount of games plus, then I think they do need to know that. And I think that it eliminates a lot of the biases that could be behind the scenes. I'm not saying that there are, but could be. And I think that eliminates that. If you know for sure that it's going to be 3 games every time you get a guy in the elbow, hit a guy with your elbow in the head, then there's no chance of somebody getting 1 game instead or a fine instead or whatever else. It's equal throughout the league. So I'm on board with that, and I don't think he should apologize.
Cool. Yeah. Stevenson Lee, the Fin Factor makes my body tingle. We are starting this and that off right, and Aaron's flying in here, so he's here miking up. I'm going to come back to Sarah's question in a moment here.
Okay.
But we're going to come to, I think Deuces had a good question.
Okay.
This was, do you think that the Sharks take on bad contacts for picks with the extra cup space we gain from the LTIR?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, right? So we've got a lot of cap space now with the long-term injuries. So yes, the Sharks could take on some bad contracts, and if it's just like a 1-year thing and they just take the contract on so that it frees up cap space for another team so that they can bring in some guys to help them with their cup run, I think that could potentially bring in some nice picks. Now, I wouldn't expect the first that Toronto got, right? So when Toronto traded to Carolina, Patrick Marleau, right, and they basically had the buyout, what they did was they gave up, or they received a first-round pick for essentially $6 million in cap relief. I don't expect that the Sharks are going to be getting a first-round pick for any sort of amount of cap relief. Because, again, as we go throughout the season, the cap hit gets lower and lower and lower. So teams aren't going to really need as much cap relief. So I don't see them getting, like a first-round pick. I wouldn't expect that. But I could definitely see, hey, we just take this player off our hands. He's going to be UFA anyway. You don't have to keep him on your team beyond this season and pay him what we were paying him. But we just need the cap space, and here's a third or here's a fourth or whatever it is. I could totally see that happening, and I'd almost encourage that actually. Anything we can do to help ourselves along with the future of the franchise, I'm 100% on board with that. And if it means having a guy on the roster for 20-something games and then saying goodbye to him afterwards, I'm on board. So Aaron, obviously back in Studio A, he's got his laptop out ready to rock. So if you would like to hear some comments from Aaron,
a long night.
I'm just going to talk over him anyway.
He did miss the smelling salts.
You already
so
did
he
them?
has to do one.
Yeah. We'll get to that later. Yeah.
Did you already do it or no?
I did the smelling salts. He has to do his now.
Are you lying? Did you actually do it? You didn't actually do it.
We're lying, everybody. We're lying.
We're lying. But I do have them. If you want to zoom in on these, I don't know.
Do you want to do it right now?
I don't really know. It says ammonia inhalants. Yeah, there you go. So I guess these are smelling salts. So we
That's
have
what
them.
it is.
There
Whose
you go.
idea was
Ammonia.
this?
Yeah.
Somebody last week.
I forget even why we were talking about it. And then Vegemite came up too.
And that's getting sent to us.
That is getting sent to us.
Yeah.
Thank you. for
What am I missing here? How far did you get into it?
Tell you what, why don't we have Super Producer Jason give us the next question, then you can figure out where that is, and then you'll know where we are.
Sure.
So what's the next question?
We left with Deuce's shoeless, Aaron. But I would want to roll back to another question from earlier that I had skipped, waiting for Aaron to get here.
Sarah?
Yeah, it was Sarah's question. What do you think of all the players who are out for the rest of the season or for the foreseeable future?
I think it sucks.
That's our season, right? That's the Shark season in a nutshell. Is everything that probably could have gone wrong this year went wrong.
Yeah.
What's that? I forget what that's called.
Murphy's Law?
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Murphy's Law this season. That should be just. We should get a T-shirt that just says Murphy's Law. 19/20.
The Fin Factor.
It'd be great.
Yeah, no, I mean it's unfortunate, and those were Erik Karlsson's word, I believe, unfortunate. So
I don't know if you talked about Erik Karlsson's injury.
No.
I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Wow, this guy's injury prone," right? To me, this was a freak accident because it wasn't a soft tissue type injury. Where yes, if it was more of a soft tissue type thing, I would be like, okay, this guy's kind of more injury prone. Breaking your finger, blocking a shot, that could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's injury prone. I mean, I can't say he's not because he hasn't proven yet that he isn't, because he's been hurt now the last 2 seasons that he's been on the Sharks.
Yeah.
But this one was a different injury. compared to, let's say, he re-aggravated that same groin that he had last year.
Yeah.
Or needed surgery for another soft tissue.
And I feel like the groin, if you're going to fault anyone for any injuries, right, him being injury prone, I think the groin would be a sign that he was injury prone. But when you're talking about, a skate cutting his Achilles, and you're talking about a puck hitting him in the thumb, that's not him. I mean, those are just a series of unfortunate events, right? Whereas the guy kind of does the splits and he tears his groin. That's just on him and his body not reacting well to that, as opposed to an outside force like a puck or like a skate. There's nothing really he could do about that. So I wouldn't call that injury prone. I would say he's pretty unlucky in those instances. But the groin, definitely, that's one where you can't, there's no outside force. That's just his body. So in that instance, yeah, sure, that injury, I guess you could say, is like on him. But the other ones, if he doesn't get his his Achilles cut, if he doesn't get the puck hitting him in the thumb, then he doesn't get injured. I mean, that's just what that is. So for him, when he kind of goes and he did the splits or whatever it was that he tore his groin, that's just because his body's not used to doing that.
I mean, did you see the play where he broke his thumb?
Barely. Like
he kind of like fell.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't in a normal position. He kind of was falling and tripped on the ice, and was kind of down low. And I think the shot kind of came low and just hit him in the thumb. Mm-hmm. Like it was just so so many different things happened to make his thumb break. Right.
Yeah.
Like so many different things that probably should not have happened. So very. I don't know.
Unfortunate.
It's
unfortunate.
Yes. All right, I'm going to pick up a question here. Two of them. First of all, from Anthony Sanchez, will tomorrow be the last time we see Marlon Thornton in a teal sweater? Possibly. You mean at home? I'm guessing you mean at home because
In a
they
teal
got
sweater.
2 road games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess it's a teal sweater.
That's,
sure.
Yeah. See him in a white sweater.
I think it's possible. Marlo Thornton, Dylan,
Dell. Melker.
maybe Dell. I don't know who's going to take him.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Melker. I think Melker's going to be gone. I think he's a very serviceable fourth line penalty killer for any team that's going to the playoffs and they have kind of a weaker penalty kill and maybe a weaker fourth line. He's going to be a good pickup for them.
Thing is, when you look at Melker Karlsson and what he brings, and yes, he's a UFA, and generally you saw off your assets to get something back. For Melker, I don't see them getting back something great in return. It might make more sense to just offer him an extension.
I'd rather just get a pick.
Would you?
I'd say third-round pick for him.
You think you'll get a third from Melker?
I think so.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I mean, even if you got a third, for me, even if you got a third from Melker Karlsson, you talk about what this guy's able to do with the fourth line and the PK. I mean, he's a mainstay on that PK, and he's a big reason of why it's so good. And then with the resurgence of Nason's career now,
yes,
being him on the fourth line with Melker, and I forget who the third wheel on that one line is, but they've been dangerous down there. So they've done a really good job of keeping teams. Yeah, I think maybe Shellman. They've done a really good job of keeping teams kind of pinned in their zone and getting opportunities. They're making defenses run around in their zone, and this is not something you generally get out of Melker Karlsson. But with those players, again, Shellman, he's a Shark. Nason, I hope they re-sign him. He deserves it.
Yeah.
So I would love to see him remain a Shark. If you've got 2 out of the 3. Again, a third or a fourth or whatever you're going to get from Melker Karlsson, I don't think you're going to get the type of player that's going to be, worth any good to your franchise. I think Melker Karlsson, it may make more sense to extend him probably at a discount, I would think, because he's making like what, $2 million right now.
Melker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could probably extend Melker Karlsson for under $2 million, and I think that's more valuable than a third or fourth round pick, even in a deep draft. That's my take on that one.
I don't know. What I would want to see is. Get as many draft picks as possible, and then you can trade those draft picks for a better pick.
Sure.
During the draft.
Sure.
It's like they like to trade up. They go, okay, I want your second round pick. I'll trade you our second round and a third round, which they can get from Dylan and from Melker. Like they get a second round from Dylan, a third round from Melker. Then you could trade during the draft. You could trade those and get a better selection. Basically,
sure.
That's why I want more picks than anything else.
You're trying to package them and go up. Yeah.
Or prospects. Like a good prospect coming back.
Sure.
Because we're not going to see any roster players unless they're old and bad contract type that would come the Sharks' way. Yeah. Where did I leave off? Jack Frost, can you see Ryan Merkley coming in next season, especially if Burns gets traded in the offseason? No, I still think he's another year at least away. I believe he's is he 19 years old now?
19.
So he'll be turning 20, which means he'll be eligible to play in the AHL at the Barracuda level. I think they're going to want to see a lot of him playing there first before getting called up to the NHL, unless he has a really good camp going into training camp, which I don't think is going to happen. It's more of his offensive skill is fine. It's working on his defensive skill. So, yes, the offensive's there. I think it would be better for his development to play the Barracuda minutes 24 minutes a game versus starting the NHL, and he'd probably be very sheltered minutes, maybe getting second power play time plus 12 minutes of regular time.
To be fair, the question did have a stipulation that Brent Burns is no longer a part of the team, so he might be getting more minutes if he were to play with the Sharks.
I still don't think I think he would be sheltered too much because he's so young and so raw defensively that it's not worth it. I think it would be bad for his development if he were to jump to the NHL and play right away. Even if Burns gets traded, I think it would be bad for his development in the long run. So I think it would benefit him and the team to play AHL at least half the season to start the season to get conditioned to playing against men, because right now he's playing in juniors, which is 16 to 19-year-olds. So it's a big difference, a big jump. And he's a smaller guy, too. He still needs to bulk up and get a little bit bigger. So that'll give him more time to do that. But he'll be around men and playing against men, but also on the same team as a bunch of guys. And at least they'd be close. They're in San Jose, right? So he'd be in the area. I'm sure, well, if Burns got traded, he wouldn't be living with Burns. But someone's going to take him under his wing, basically.
Yeah, no.
And teach him the ropes and keep him out of trouble.
And I have to play devil's advocate because that's what the question was asking. But I'm with Aaron on this one. Yeah, I don't think Ryan Merkley is ready to jump in just yet. I think there are some other, maybe some character flaws that they would like to kind of hammer out, and you don't want to do that on the NHL roster. Let's do that on the AHL roster. So I would like to see him get those minutes on the AHL as well. I'm sure if he did play in the NHL, he would get more minutes than I think Aaron believes he would get. But I'm still with him. I think he needs to develop some more. Let's give him the opportunity to bulk up, to play, like he said, with men. And I just don't want to rush this kid in, So if we can hammer out the issues, right? Then we'll talk about bringing him in before we think he's actually ready.
I mean, maybe he gets traded too.
I've been saying that too. And again, the thing for me is, you take your first round pick and you trade it away and you get a player like an Evander Kane, or you take your 2 first and you trade a player, you get Erik Karlsson out of it, right? Ryan Merkley to me is kind of that wild card. You don't know exactly what you're getting. You know what you can get out of him, but you're not sure if it's going to pan out. Just like a first round pick. Yeah, you know who you could pick, but you're not sure if that pick's going to pan out, right? How many times have we seen first round picks, especially for the Sharks, just not go anywhere? So for Ryan Merkley, there is kind of a little bit of a question around this guy. So if you could get a good return for him, I wouldn't mind trading the asset for an asset that maybe we can use in a deeper draft. I wouldn't be against that necessarily. Now I know you're saying, well, he's still very young, and I agree with you on that. But again, he's kind of an unknown, just like a draft pick. Before you make your pick, it's unknown who you're going to get even, right? So I don't know. I wouldn't mind if they did trade Ryan Merkley, and I think that if they can get a good return for him. But again, who's going to trade for him right now? Again, his own coach didn't have him on the World Juniors team, right? And he's like the best defenseman offensively in that league. So I don't know. There's obviously some other issues going on there, and I'm pretty sure other teams have caught on to that as well. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with him. Hopefully he pans out. I would love to see him, make his way onto the Sharks roster in the next year, 2 years, or 3 years, whatever it is, and just be the stud that they think he's going to be, because that would be an amazing pick for the San Jose Sharks. So.
Anthony Sanchez says, I hope you have a bag to blow chunks into when smelling the smelling salts.
Oh, really?
I don't think it'll be that bad.
Okay. We may have to
Do you have
cut
a strong
to the...
stomach?
I have a strong stomach?
Do you have a strong stomach?
I don't know. Hit me. Come at me, bro.
What do they need to know? What do you
About
guys
strong
need
stomachs?
to know? Yeah, about smelling
Oh,
salts.
what do we need to know about smell? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, you're asking them.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, tell me what we need
I
to
don't
know, because
I think it's fine.
Brody didn't throw up, right?
I'll start
Did he
wrapping
do
the
it? Yeah,
place
he
like
did.
a,
Brody's as short as I am, so his stomach is probably about as strong as mine.
if it needs to look like a Dexter episode in here, I'll start wrapping.
Just plastic everywhere.
Interesting question again from Anthony.
Okay.
Do you think Jones is going to play tomorrow after a shutout against the Wild on Saturday? Yeah, I didn't think so. I think Dell goes back in there.
Yeah.
I don't think Jones.
Again, for me, it comes down to who's the hot hand. Dell lately has had the hot hand. It's just like, okay, if Martin Jones was playing really well, Martin Jones has got, win after win after win, or good performance after good performance, and then you throw Dell in there because he hasn't played in 14 days or whatever it is,
Right.
and then Dell picks up a shutout. Hey, that's great, but the other guy's been winning game after game after game. For me, I think you throw Dell right back in. You reward him for the good work that he's been doing. When he has a stinker, okay, then we start talking about playing Martin Jones again in back-to-back games. So I think, at this point, Dell has kind of solidified himself as the 1A between the two of them, and I think he's going to get the start, and it's well deserved. Now, Martin Jones, let's not forget here. Okay, Martin Jones put up how many? 39 saves in that shutout effort. 38 or 39 saves, I believe, in that shutout effort. That's marvelous. Great job, So it's nice to see him bounce back, have a good game. Finally, it's been a while. Maybe the defense around him playing a lot better as well. I think they were doing that. The funny thing is, we're out Tomas Hertl, we're out Logan Couture, we're out Erik Karlsson now, right?
Yeah.
And then you play Martin Jones, and everyone's going, oh, that's an automatic loss. And what happens? We get a shutout. This team makes no sense. This team makes no sense at all.
You know why it makes sense or why it's working?
Fire away.
They have to work hard because they don't have the skill to bail them out anymore.
Okay.
So now they have to
Blue
put
collar.
on their hard hats and,
Okay.
and get in the trenches and work hard. And that's what teams with no skill do, and that's how they beat other teams. The Sharks have not done that in the last decade because they've had so much talent that they could always get away with playing perimeter style hockey because they have the skill set to do it. Now with all these guys injured, they don't, and now all of a sudden they're winning. They're almost like a different team the way that they're playing.
They are a different team. They're called the Barracuda.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah,
that's
the
what,
Barracuda is tanking right now because all those players, all their best players are on the Sharks.
that's true.
Sucks
That is
for
true.
them. But,
Yeah.
where am I going? Any thoughts on who you'd want as a head coach from Zach Cross?
Yeah. Again, for
next
me,
year,
it's I'm not gonna say a name necessarily. I know there's like Gallant, Laviolette. There's now
You
Boudreau.
threw it out earlier.
Bruce Boudreau.
Yeah.
And then obviously Bugner is still in the running, I think. I personally, I like what Bugner's done. I like how he's got them playing better defensively, and I feel like he should get a one-year contract at least. I feel like he should have another shot at this, with a team that's not riddled with injuries, and with guys that maybe he wants as his assistants. And I could see Nabokov sticking around, but maybe Roy wants to go back and fix the Barracuda, and maybe like you thought, Mike Ricci doesn't really want to be an assistant coach at the NHL level. Maybe he wants to be working with the development side of it on the AHL level. So maybe Bob Bugner deserves another year, and he deserves a shot with guys of his own choosing. So I wouldn't be opposed to that whatsoever. Now, in terms of the other coaches, without naming any names in particular, I would say that to me it makes more sense to take on a coach who, again, it depends how Doug kind of constructs that roster. If he's going to have more of those AHL guys trying to step in, you're going to need a coach who's good with taking younger talent and continuing to develop them, right? As opposed to a coach who's used to playing with all veterans and, forget the new guys. We don't care about them. We want the veteran guys. Trade and get me veteran guys, right? So it kind of depends how the roster gets constructed after this offseason. It'll be really interesting to see what Doug Wilson does there. But whatever way he decides to go about constructing that roster, he's going to pick the right coach for the job. So any of those guys are in the running. It's just a matter of who Doug Wilson thinks is the best fit.
Yeah, I don't feel like Bugner got a fair shake at it just
No.
because he came in halfway through. He couldn't do his own system.
Yeah.
He just kind of had to tweak what was already there. It also, this is his big, long tryout, too, since he started coaching. So it's kind of nice for Wilson to say, okay, this is what he can do, kind of, especially when guys keep getting hurt or suspended or both. So that's hard. I don't know who I'd prefer to see. I don't really know. I don't know.
I don't have a preference.
I don't really like Boudreau. I don't like Babcock. I have a feeling Babcock's done.
Babcock's done.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be coaching in the NHL.
He should be done. He's been canceled, as the kids say.
He was kind of older to begin with, too.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it happening. Does Jones' play say more about how bad Minnesota is or how much better Nabby is as a goalie coach? I feel like Jones has been getting it back together. I think he's been working with Nabokov a lot, so maybe that did help.
I'm sure.
Minnesota is not a good team. although they are better in the standings than the Sharks, so it's hard to gauge too. But Minnesota...
I was going to say the Sharks aren't a good team right now either. So.
Minnesota just fired their coach, which is really stupid because that team was put together poorly. Their top line was... It would be like icing to start the season, Thornton, Marlowe, and whoever the next oldest person is, right? Yeah. That was your starting top first line. You're like, that's not... That'd be a good second or third line, but not a top line. And that's just... They're an aging core, and they didn't do anything to address it. So I don't think he really got some good stuff.
Yeah. Real quick, we're going to do a shorter live tonight because we started late, and so we're going to cut this just a little bit short. We're not saying goodbye right now, but go ahead and do the roll call right now.
Sure. Do roll call. Where are you watching? And how you found us.
And we'll take another question or two. So
Ryan Sontag, thanks for the $5.
Oh.
Body tingles. Kane is the only one showing heart up there some nights, but big props to Goody for fighting Lucic to keep Boogie as a head coach.
Yeah, I think in terms of showing heart, I think Kane for sure, Goodrow for sure, and again, those fourth line guys. I'm really impressed with them. Their ability to go out there and just keep skating. You see them just chugging away the entire time. There's no gliding with that group. So I'm really impressed with Stefan Nason. I'm really impressed with Melker Karlsson still. Again, I wouldn't mind having him extended, especially if it was a little bit under the $2 million. I'd like to see him back. And then I think you said Shellman was the last piece of that line there.
Yeah.
So the three of them together, they've looked really good, and I'm really happy with the work ethic. And they've just been outworking the opposition. They've been getting on the ice and just outworking the other line. So really, really impressed with those guys. So yeah, about 5 guys on the team doing really well right now.
We need those. We needed that line last year.
Yeah,
that would have been a fantastic fourth line last year.
Really though,
I think it would have helped the Sharks go a little bit deeper. Probably, I mean, obviously deeper would have been going to the finals. I think that would have helped push them into the finals.
Yeah. Well, we were also banged up, injuries and whatnot too. So, given the health, who knows? With or without them, given the health, we probably would have gone farther. So,
Deuces Sheila said, "Coach Bombay for next season."
They are making another Ducks movie, right?
They are, and the Ducks are the bad guys. Did you read about that?
No.
So what they're doing is it's a Minnesota mom whose kid gets cut from the Ducks because the Ducks are super competitive now. And so she starts her own team in Minnesota, and the Ducks are the bad team because they are super competitive and cut her son.
Okay. So is Bombay like the mean Bombay?
That's all I read. That's all I know. I don't know if he's actually going to be in it.
He'll be in it.
Oh, he is?
Estevez is in it, yeah.
Probably just a cameo.
I don't think so.
Someone's going to yell, "Emilio!"
I was like, Emilio. Nice. Let's take another question, and I think we'll wrap it up.
Sure, there's a bunch of people doing their roll call, so it's like it's mixed in here.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, Zach wants to know when Doug Wilson's going to pull the trigger on drafts, or on
Dylan.
Sorry. No, on anybody to make a trade.
It'll be Dylan first.
Everything's in the works right now. It's not like he's waiting on the phone to either call or get a call. I think they're kind of working out deals. I mean, there could even be like 3-team trades. You never know, where you have to get multi-parties involved and figure it out. Also, when a trade is done, it's very interesting to see the inner workings of a trade. The two GMs basically talk to each other, figure it out, hammer it out. Then they have to get, I think, their lawyers on to write it out to make sure that it's written. Then they have to fax it to each other, make sure it's okay, sign it, then send it to the league. The league has to approve it. And then, so like in the matter of, I don't know, probably a half a day takes to actually get the trade from start to finish done and complete.
Through a fax?
Yeah. I think they still do fax. I mean, maybe they change it now. This was maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years ago when I saw this behind the
For some reason, my mind just went to Robin Hood Men in Tights. We'll Fox it, and they put it on the Fox, and the Fox runs.
It's all that Fry's Electronics money going to fax machines.
Fry's Electronics.
Too soon?
Anyway, so the trade deadline on Monday, I think, is at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times trades will be announced like 4 hours after that because it gets sent into the league before the deadline, but it takes a while to get approved, and you get a bunch in there. But lately, in the last decade or so, the trade deadline day isn't as crazy as it used to be. It used to be everything came in that day.
People trying to jump on it earlier.
Yeah, now you're seeing more trades kind of happen. So I think this entire week we're going to see a bunch. I mean, We're gonna try and come in the studio. I think you're gonna be gone.
I will unfortunately not be in studio. Much like the Sharks, I'm gonna be injury prone and out for a while. But no, so essentially, yeah, I'm gonna be gone from was it Tuesday? I guess from Tuesday till probably Monday now. Which is unfortunate. Yes.
Right.
So
any trades coming in is gonna be broken out by me.
It's gonna be him and himself and him.
I'll put a cardboard cutout of you.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Paul, what do you think? All right.
I already tried. It's too far for a footrest. It's barely. Well, you're taller.
You're short.
Yeah, then maybe that'll help out.
The Devils made 2 trades today.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even see that actually. Let me pull
big?
that up real quick.
Really
Good question.
Just PK Subban
Lightning acquire Coleman from the Devils.
Hmm.
That's just the headline. So Andy Green went to the Islanders.
Okay.
That's interesting. Aren't they in the same division?
Yeah.
For a 2nd-round pick and David Quenneville. And then Blake Coleman went to the Lightning for a 1st-round pick and Nolan Foote. Blake Coleman for a 1st-rounder. Wow. Anyway, good on New Jersey. Although that's like going to be a late 1st-rounder probably because it's Tampa Bay. So, yeah, the Devils are going to be blowing up their team, so we're going to see a lot of those guys being gone. All right, anyway, I guess we're going to be signing off. So you'll catch us. We're going to record an episode. I think it's going to come out Tuesday morning.
Probably.
Jay? It'll come out Tuesday morning. We will be at the game tomorrow. You will not be?
I may. Or I guess I got the kids. So
right. I might. Yeah. I will be at the game tomorrow, as will Jason. Right, Jay?
Yep.
And we'll be there recording a little thing. They're doing a unveiling ceremony for the new bar that's right over the entrance when you walk in the main entrance of Santa Clara Street.
If you watched our episode, and I would encourage you to do so, where we interviewed Doug, and Doug. That's Wilson, Bentz, and Crankshaft.
Yeah.
The place where we were sitting when we did that, they've now turned that into like a bar area. So there's 2 bars, one on either side of the frame that you see when you look at that interview. So again, I encourage you to take a look at that interview. It's a pretty good one, a pretty fun one. And that is the location of the bar that they're putting in, or the 2 bars really that they're putting in.
You guys were tethered to the rafters so you didn't fall off that ledge, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That was a little scary. It was high up there.
Anyway,
we're going to do a little segment on that. We'll have a little spotlight episode coming out this week on just that. And then we'll have an episode coming out on Tuesday morning. So if any of you are at the game, I'll be there.
Say hello.
We'll probably tweet too. So watch us on Twitter.
Maybe we'll do a meetup or something in between periods.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do something.
Maybe do a giveaway.
Oh, maybe we do a giveaway.
Paul's shoes. Smelling salts.
A toaster.
Smelling salts. We're giving away smelling salts. There you go.
Are we gonna do those now, or you want to wait?
We'll do them next live.
Next week.
Next live.
When you eat the Vegemite, you'll need them
because you're not here.
No, I'm not here. We'll have to reschedule that one. We'll probably do it Monday Night Live or Tuesday Night Live.
When the Department of Agriculture closes our mailbox for receiving Vegemite, and you guys have to eat it, then you'll need the smelling salts.
It's not like a refrigerated thing, is it?
It might be.
Not.
Just imagine some blob of slime.
All right, we're gonna get to recording, guys. Thanks so much for popping in and joining us on the live. We do enjoy the heck out of this stuff. So,
thank you
again. Thank you for the super chat money. We appreciate that. Remember that you can also support the show by going onto the website, thefinfactor.com. Hit those 3 little lines. Support the show. That is what you're doing. Go ahead and pick up a shirt of some sort or a hat. Hats are awesome, and you can also get some stickers. So that would be awesome if you want to do that as well. Thank you for putting the link right down here somewhere.
And I just posted it in the chat.
Very good, and he put it in the chat. Good. Okay, so we're going to get to recording. Thank you guys again, and we will see you guys
later this week.
Bye.
Bye.